Hi, I'm Pam and I'm here to talk about retro video games. Today I'm talking about what I think is the best FMV adventure game ever made. This year is the game's 25th anniversary, and there's a remaster in the works. It's the Pandora Directive. The Pandora Directive was developed by Access Software and released on PC in 1996. As with the previous game, Under a Killing Moon, it was designed by Chris Jones and Aaron Connors. Connors also wrote the novelization of the game, and Jones stars as our protagonist, P.I. Tex Murphy. Tex is a man clearly inspired by the fictional noir detectives of days gone by, Sam Spade and Philip Marlowe, men who liked their bourbon neat and their women on the dangerous side.
When a woman pays attention to me, generally I'm so stunned, I don't do anything about it.
The game takes place in the fairly near future of 2043, just a few months after the events of the last game, which had Tex stopping the crusade of a dangerous cult. This cult tried to wipe all mutated humans, who were created from radiation during World War III, off the face of the Earth. It turns out, saving the world isn't as prestigious as one would think. After paying some outstanding debts and upgrading his apartment, Tex is back to being a down-on-his-luck PI, looking for his next case. And the one that finds him is a real doozy. The rather lengthy opening does a great job of introducing multiple intriguing threads you'll be following throughout the game. First, there's Tex's relationship with his longtime friend and maybe eventual lover, Chelsea. She's trying to figure her life out, and how Tex will figure into it depends on your actions over the upcoming days.
I appreciate your concern, Tex, but I have been fine on my own for a long time.
Then there's your new case. A man named Gordon Fitzpatrick is looking for his old friend and colleague, Thomas Malloy, whose safety he fears for. This new case will take you to all kinds of unexpected places.
The man I knew as Thomas Malloy, she knew as Tyson Matthews. She seemed quite uncomfortable talking on the vid phone, so I suggested we meet. She never showed up for that appointment.
And then, just to up the ante even more, we catch a glimpse of a black masked man, rifling through the belongings of a young woman he's just murdered. Who knows how he'll figure into things? The Pandora Directive uses the same engine, mechanics, and UI as Under a Killing Moon did, and frankly, it's superior and much more interactive than other games of this type. Gameplay is divided between travel and interactive modes. While exploring, you move around full-screen 3D environments in first person with the mouse. Pressing spacebar switches you to interactive mode, which shrinks the area of the game screen and lets you interact with things via common verbs like talk, look, or get. You can view your inventory, menu, and see dialogue options in this mode. There is a bit of awkwardness to adjusting your viewing angle while exploring to do things like look down into drawers or under beds. Luckily, you don't have to do this all that much. The game also helps you out by letting you interact with objects from very far away. As long as you can see them, you can interact with them, which means you don't have to be constantly switching to movement mode to get up close to various objects. Your ability to control Tex's movement will very occasionally be put to the test, as there are times you'll need to avoid being spotted or move quickly to avoid danger. As someone who's been playing these games for years, the interface and movement are all fairly comfortable. However, if you're a new player, it might be a little awkward. One tip I have is that if you're playing these games on a newer computer, turn your mouse sensitivity way down. Pandora Directive is split into days, each with its own goal that lets you progress on to the next, though many things can be done or locations visited on multiple days. In the beginning, you'll mostly be traveling around Texas Street, as, in a somewhat unbelievable coincidence, the missing Dr. Malloy had recently stayed in the Ritz Hotel, where Tex lives. day 1 ends when you get into Malloy's room. You can question the inhabitants of Chandler Avenue to find the information you need to get you there. The dialogue system is really compelling. During conversations, you'll get 3 options for responses. You won't get to choose Tex's exact words, just the general vibe. These conversations can have an impact on how things will go for you, and in some cases can be failed, so figuring out the right thing to say can be a bit of a puzzle.
Well, let me see if I can refresh your memory, Dad. Little bar in Omaha, Fifth of Wild Turkey, karaoke machine.
Who is your mother?
You can also question people about pretty much anything. You'll have a list of topics and people to ask about, based on who you've met and what you've learned so far, and can also show them objects from your inventory. Puzzles play a big part, and there are many more here than in the previous game. These range from standard inventory combining and using the right items in the right places, to cracking codes, word puzzles, reassembling torn up notes, mazes, pattern recognition, and spatial tests. For the most part, puzzles are quite engaging, challenging but doable, and not often repeating in the specific type of puzzles you're faced with. I particularly enjoy code cracking to get into safes or encrypted computer files, anything that resembles a jigsaw puzzle, and one very cool mine defusal task that involves transferring different colored photons. There are definitely puzzles that will appeal to adventure gamers of all sorts, though there will also likely be some you don't care for. I personally hate sliding block puzzles. Not this one. This one is okay. This one, though. Ugh. There are a few puzzles that seem a bit unfair, with solutions that seem way out of left field. There's one involving Mayan calendar dates that I've just never been able to wrap my head around, and a map puzzle that I find makes only the vaguest hint of sense. Luckily, the Pandora Directive also includes 2 difficulty modes and one of the best hint systems in any game. When you start up a new game, you get to choose between Entertainment Mode and Game Player Mode. Entertainment Mode is suggested for first-time players. It gives you full access to the hint system, and while some of the puzzles are a little bit simpler and a couple are skipped, you're not missing any of the story or anything really important. In Game Player's mode, the hint system is off, puzzles are timed, and there's a bigger maximum score. The hint system is divided by objective, and you open hints one step at a time, so you're getting a nudge in the right direction without revealing the entire chain of events. It's very granular. You can also skip any puzzles that you're finding particularly frustrating. If you start on Game Player's mode, you can switch to entertainment at any time, which is usually what I do at the end of the game when I reach a puzzle I really don't like. The game also gives you a little help if you ever get Tex killed, which is something you're given a number of opportunities to do. The camera will pan over Tex's gravestone and he'll vocalize what went wrong, giving you a hint of what you should do differently next time.
If I'd been a little more cautious, I might have been able to stay out of his sight long enough to figure out something that would get this guy out of the way.
The game can be really tough at times, but help is always available, and you don't even have to go outside of the game to find it. This tells me that the creators actually cared about the player's time, which was really quite novel for the mid-90s. Another great thing for time savings is the game's fast travel system. There's a street map of Chandler Avenue, a San Francisco map that will give you locations like the police station or the home of a murder victim, and a map of North America, where you'll be visiting locations such as a swanky Vancouver condo and Mayan ruins in Mexico. Pandora Directive is a game that technically was doing a lot. It came on 6 CD-ROMs and had a lot of load screens every time you went to a new location. The fast travel system was a brilliant way of skipping unnecessary load time. Say you're in Tex's computer room and you need to go talk to Louie at the Brew and Stew Diner. Rather than loading into Tex's bedroom, then his office, then the street, then the diner, you just open up that fast travel and go there with 1 load screen instead of 4. While on a modern computer, the load screens are incredibly short, if you were playing this on an Intel 486, this was a huge time saver. And for new players, it's a way to reduce the amount of moving around you need to do if you find the dichotomy of movement and investigation mode a bit cumbersome. Throughout the game, you'll visit all sorts of interesting places. The case of the missing Dr. Malloy, unsurprisingly, gets much more complicated than it first appears. People who he's contacted have been dying. He's been sending out mysterious puzzle boxes to trusted friends and family, and the NSA is involved in it all. You'll end up investigating the UFO crash in Roswell, New Mexico. I don't think that's a spoiler, as it's right on the back of the game box. As an X-Files obsessed 13-year-old, this game really just did it all for me. Compared to Under a Killing Moon, Pandora takes on a slightly more serious tone, even if the subject matter isn't quite as dark. There's still a lot of humor to be found, but there are less outright goofy scenes, and even the effects for each day's introduction have changed from a jaunty sax tune and punny title to something much more ominous. The whole thing is brought to life by what I think is one of the best casts and best overall acting from any FMV game. Chris Jones embodies Tex with an appropriate sense of cynicism, but also a sense of humor and care about the people he's trying to help.
One more thing.
Oh, man, this is not what you're gonna tell me. Stick around in town, we might have to ask you some more questions. How many times have you told me that of last 10 years?
The returning cast of relatively unknown actors who play the inhabitants of Chandler Avenue also do an admirable job, and slip back into their roles with ease. Suzanne Barnes, who plays Chelsea, was particularly impressive as she has a much more expansive and demanding role here.
Something you said the other day has stuck in my head. You told me that if I left, that you'd still be here when I got back. Did you mean that?
The game also boasts some more well-known names. Kevin McCarthy, known for Invasion of the Body Snatchers, plays Gordon Fitzpatrick, the caring friend who may know a little more than he says, who hires Tex at the start of the game.
The NSA is a dangerous group. I've dealt with them before, and I have no desire to do it again. But I fear we may have no choice.
Barry Corbin starred in Northern Exposure and is no stranger to FMV, as he's appeared in the Command & Conquer series. He plays the intimidating and trigger-happy NSA agent Jackson Cross.
So don't dick with me, Murphy. I'll pull out my gun and blow your face off.
The femme fatale of this tale is Regan Madsen, whose interest in Tex may not be entirely honorable. She's played by Tanya Roberts, known for Charlie's Angels and being Donna's mom in that 70s show.
Took you long enough. I thought I was gonna have to start in by myself. I hope you don't mind I made myself comfortable. And I'm very comfortable.
Throughout the game, Tex will be interacting with so many people, through conversations in person or on vidphone, interrogations, and cutscenes. Every character can be helpful to you in some way, though many have ulterior motives or want something from you in return. The Pandora Directive does a great job at balancing between its various threads: Tex's personal life and his investigations, dangerous enemies, even supernatural foes, and flirtatious conversations, trading personal jabs with friends, and the occasional pratfall. The game has both the writing and acting chops to pull off these tonal shifts without it feeling jarring or overly cheesy. Another great, and again quite novel thing for a mid-90s adventure game is that your choices as Tex have an impact on the story. There are branching narratives and multiple endings. The game lays out 3 possible paths depending on if you're kind and altruistic, cynical and selfish, or somewhere in between. Conversations with Chelsea and how you interact with Regan will impact the state of your relationships at the end of the game. There are also times when characters will live or die based on your actions. Even smaller moral decisions, like whether you give your scummy landlord his wallet back, can have an impact. This gives the player more of a sense of ownership over the character they're playing. Though certain story beats will always occur, Tex's path is up to you. Pandora does a great job of pulling you into this world, making you care about the characters you meet, or want to punch them, and above all, wanting to solve all the mysteries you come across. The game's music sets the mood wonderfully. From the smooth and jazzy track that will accompany you while you're on your home turf, to the more dramatic and threatening sounds you'll hear while you're sneaking around the places you're not supposed to be. A number of the tracks are on the more ambient side, with occasional flourishes to keep you on your toes. Visually, I think the game still looks pretty good. The footage of the actors is quite high quality, as you've probably noticed from the footage, in both cutscenes and dialogue. While the textures of the 3D environments you'll be wandering around are a little blocky and low res, they're still pretty good. You can easily tell what you can interact with, and they've improved considerably since the previous game. With a combination of strong writing and acting, a variety of puzzles to solve, locations to explore, and mysteries to unravel, the Pandora Directive is really a video game that's best in its class. It's so much more interactive than other FMV adventure games, and it lets you make decisions to really shape Tex and the kind of detective he will be. I highly recommend this game, whether it's picking up the original version now or joining me in anticipating the remaster. Speaking of the remaster, if you're at all interested in the progress on that, you can check out the Big Finish Games website, where they're posting regular blog entries going over the entire process. There's also a very fascinating episode of the Video Game History Hour podcast, which talks about tracking down those missing production tapes that allowed this remaster to happen in the first place. It's episode 39, and I will have links to both those things in the description below. If you want to see more, check out my review of Under a Killing Moon, or another of my videos. I have a Patreon if you want to support the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.